Seeing none, let's move on to the principal's report. And because Pam's not here,
Mr. Matanet.
we appreciate you coming here tonight and being here. And you're going to talk about your report.
Yes, I just have a few things to share that have gone on in the building since the last board meeting. On Wednesday, September 18th, the first culinary night in the garden was held by Kathleen Harsey and Patty Farley. And at that event, 25 RB students came with their families to learn from the Foods 2 students that walked them through preparing easy, healthy recipes using the produce from our garden. And so despite the rain and not being able to eat outside next to the garden as originally planned, the night was a huge success. Last Thursday, we held one of our annual canine searches in collaboration with the Riverside Police Department and other area departments. The search wasn't conducted in a response to a specific incident, but rather in a very proactive manner in an effort to create a safe and drug-free environment within the school.
Any contraband found?
No.
All right.
These random searches will continue to be a part of the annual safety drills that are conducted by John Passarella and his office to create a safe environment. This past weekend, we had 3 of our students that were repeat champions in the annual North Riverside Chili Cook-Off. Those students were Mark Vandernald, Natalie Gardner, and Liz Harrington, and we're looking forward to them whipping up some of the recipes to share with the students and the staff in the cafeteria in the next 2 weeks.
What about the board?
And the board, more than one.
Left out here.
And then today, John Register spoke to our student body by delivering his hurdling adversity presentation for our Character Counts Assembly. John Register is a 4-time All-American track athlete from the University of Arkansas. While training for the 1996 Olympics, he suffered a career-ending injury that caused him to have his leg amputated. Since then, he's competed in the Paralympic Games in swimming and track and field. So when he came to talk today, we were hoping that our students left the presentation feeling inspired to overcome adversity and to maximize their potential to positively impact RB, their peers, their family, and ultimately themselves. And so after that presentation, students went back to the classroom to reflect upon what they had learned from that presentation. We've collected those, and we look forward to analyzing them to see what the students have taken away from that. Lastly, we have a fall choir concert coming up this Thursday that I know the students have been working really hard to prepare for. And then I also wanted to provide you an update about the summer school question that you had from the last board meeting. There was a question about the participation rate and whether or not, the numbers that we had participate, if that was a good rate. And so looking at it, we had 74 students that failed 109 courses. So we had 39 that failed math courses and 70 that failed English courses, but of those, 35 students failed both math and English. So a lot of the students that failed math also failed English. So we had 33 students enroll in either English or math over summer school of the 74 students. So that's about 45% of the students.
So the intervention of doing a second session next year would be helpful so that kids that failed math can then do English in the second section.
Yes, it would be very helpful.
Okay. And there was a follow-up before you get into the goals report. There was a question last week from Mr. Gritchen, just from Mr. Ostro to summarize the process at the summer camps used. Art, if you want to join Kristen.
Well, what I provided you with was a memo just to address some of the questions that we had last week, or last board meeting, regarding some of the processes that we use for our athletic camps. One was the first, when we make a decision that whether to cancel a camp or not due to low enrollments. Most times we do still run it because the coach feels it's important. We do have the exact cost of what it takes, for example, the gymnastics room to run the lights and the air conditioning. We did not cover the cost by that, but I did list the amount of other sports that we do that we actually don't have any operational costs, but we still do that $5 fee, so it does cover all of our costs for keeping the school open and using those facilities throughout the year. The second question was related to how do we determine how much a camp is going to cost, and then how do we pay our coaches out of that. For the last, probably, since I've been involved with RB for about 14 years, the numbers have pretty much stayed the same as what we charge. We have gone up in the past year just because we added that $10 fee. And the way we pay is always to be cost neutral over the last couple of years of, once we pay supplies and bills, whatever, the remaining amount is paid out per how many hours, length of camp, things like that. We try to be as fair as possible. You know, some sports are going to have low enrollments where the coaches aren't going to get paid as much as some of the other sports. The example was basketball obviously brought in a large amount of revenue. But the nice thing with the amount of campers that we had, the 414, it allows us to pay our coaches for all the other additional things that they do throughout our summer that are not necessary but, you know, are important to our basketball program. So they do a number of sophomore summer leagues, a varsity summer league, AAU tournaments. The coaches do provide me with an hourly breakdown. So some of our basketball coaches actually put in over 300 hours this summer. So when you break that down, they're actually making roughly around $30 an hour. And some of our other camps are about $30 an hour. Some are going to be a little bit less. I gave a little breakdown of if we did try to keep that $30 across the board, it would be pretty much impossible to be cost neutral. We would have to either raise the fee for some sports or have a minimum, which I don't think we want to do because we want to run these camps and the coaches want to run these camps and it's important. So I don't know if that addressed the questions that we had.
So Art, I got two questions for you.
Yes.
One is, as the enrollment of a camp increases or something like that, do you step in and say, hey, you need to have these many coaches there to cover for safety-wise?
Usually it is, you know, the coaches that are in our programs, and then some of the coaches will have high school kids come back, which we, you know, started to do the background check on them and make sure that it's an equal amount. If we do think it's a safety reason, then yeah, we look at it at that. But like basketball, for example, ended up having about 16 coaches that we ended up paying throughout. You know, and when we say 414 kids, that's over the span of 5 camps. In one camp itself, we might only have 100 kids, and you have 8 coaches working in 4 different areas. So we do look at it. If there's a case that you need more coaches, you know, we'll look to hire somebody else.
And if you have a camp that is low enrollment, how do you try to bump up the enrollment?
Well, it's the coach's, you know, job throughout the year to try to get kids involved and try to get kids, and my job in my department to try to get kids excited. If, you know, we try to preach that if you've never done it, try it. You know, try to get them out there. You know, the problem we run into is a lot of kids sometimes do other camps aren't related to RB over the summer, or they're multi-sport athletes where they choose one sport or the other. So that's, you know, it's kind of an ongoing battle that you face that, you know, how much time does a kid have to get involved over the summer because you're doing other things? Like the perfect example is golf. A lot of our golfers golf in summer leagues. So the importance of our summer camp isn't as big to them. And our coaches know that. They realize that. That's why they only do like a 3-day camp.
Any other questions for Art?
So what I saw was you have your revenue, you know your supplies are, you have the building fee, and then you have this pool of monies at the end that are allowed to go for salaries. And if it winds up being certain programs, like you said, basketball brings in a lot, golf or cross country, you're saying is effectively under a $30 per hour rate. Okay. Tim, do we see the payment of these salaries, your checks?
Mm-hmm.
So when typically they're coming through in June?
August.
Oh, no, later than that.
Yeah, they come in
Because
at the end.
Tim and
During the
I,
summer, they're purchasing the supplies.
Tim and I stopped after the first year we got in because people were getting paid every 15th and 30th.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they had no money left from their camp, and then we got a T-shirt bill or we got a basketball bill.
So it's on at the end?
We don't pay until all the purchase orders are closed out.
Yeah, at the conclusion of each camp, a coach will submit to me their supplies, and then they'll submit it like an hourly rate of this coach did this, this, and this, and here's what they should get paid.
And then Adrienne cross-references that with the purchase orders. And once
Yeah,
they're all
right.
closed, she gives the okay to Art and Tim, and then we pay them.
Getting back to basketball, you have a very elite summer shootout program that happens here.
Correct.
Does those revenues go through this activity account thing?
No. Those the AAU tournament is, they pay like a rental.
Yeah.
So our coaches don't get paid for that. That's
Yeah.
not a camp. It's just a rental, so the basketball program or whatever the group may be has to pay the fees of.
No, I says it going through, it is going into the boys' basketball activity account? Is that where that money's going in?
Some of them will, yes, that would be like a fundraiser to them.
The
But they,
AAU tournament?
yeah,
that's
some of
going
them
in?
are run by our coaches, others are run by outside groups that our coaches work to do as a fundraiser. So any revenue that we make will go into their activity account, but they do not get paid for that. That is part of their hours that they work for this company.
No, that was just, because I know that tournament's been happening, I just never see revenues coming through on the board, on our budget, so I'm assuming it's going into the boys' basketball activity accounts?
Right, the revenue that we make for that goes to their activity account. It's like a fundraiser. They work it, but they do pay a rental fee. They pick up the cost of obviously the officials. All of that is not a budgeted thing. It just runs itself.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Art?
I do have a question. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that there are some coaches who won't be paid that $30 an hour amount. Do they know that up front?
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
you negotiate that and they're okay with that?
Yeah, every coach, as I put in the memo, I mean, they understand, they feel that it's fair. They know that basically their salary to say over the summer is driven off the success of their program. Some of the coaches, in fact, I put in here, they have lowered their cost of their summer camp because they want to attract more people. So they know, in a sense, that's taking away from their own salary. But they are well aware of, based upon what they bring in, based upon the length of their camp, it will be, could they get to that $30 mark if that's the number we want to reach. Some do, some don't, but some don't because they choose not to. They want to lower it to try to attract more people. It addresses kind of your one question.
So my question to you is on, when you're evaluating a coach that's doing a regular season, you also put in an evaluation, what's he doing to recruit, or is he setting up a summer camp?
Can't recruit, let's not use that word.
I mean,
Can't recruit.
how does he build up
Promote
his
their program.
in-district program? How does he build his in-district program? Is that one of the evaluation tools?
Yes, part of the evaluation tool is what do you do to try to establish a feeder program?
Okay,
And how do
feeder
you-
program,
Yeah,
sorry.
feeder program. So we have tried to establish a feeder program in every sport. Obviously, you can't do it in everything, but we have started a few since I've been here that we didn't have before, that obviously is going to help the growth of your program.
Okay. Any other questions for our? All right.